Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today on Behr Builds Bikes, we're going to be building another Tuesday VOLCOM. This is the single speed coaster brake. This one happens to be in white. It has the taller top tube to it, unlike the pink one that we did before. This one should be another pretty simple, one speed, pedal backwards to stop. Just have to put the seat, the pedals, the front wheel. It does have a front fender that has to be put on, the fender braces on the back. Shouldn't be too difficult. Occasionally, because it is a steel frame, we may run into an issue with the fender bolts having thread issues, but for the most part, if we take our time and we're careful, we should be able to get this together relatively quickly. We're gonna jump right in, get the bike out of the box, unpack it like we always do, fast forward through the unpacking process, separate our cardboard from our plastic, and we should get this one together relatively quickly. I hope you enjoy the video and I hope you learned something. Let's get started. So like with all the other ones, we got to get her out of the box first. We're just going to rip the box open. Not going to use razor knives anymore. We do have to be careful of the staples that are on this edge. Try and fold that box over a little bit so we don't have to worry about when we reach into the box getting shredded by a staple. These bikes are a little heavier than the Boss Cruisers because they are steel. Lay her up against the stand here. Get out our seat. Get out our parts box. Our seat post, and it looks like a reflector has come off. So, first thing first, let's size our post. Make sure it's going to fit in the clamp and hold snug. That should be good. Now I'll move the camera so you can see me put the post into the seat. Then we'll get this thing up in the stand and start the unpacking process. So in typical fashion, we are going to get this seat out of the packaging. We're going to get our post into the clamp. We're going to put a little bit of an angle on it. We do want it to have a little bit of a pitch so when it's in the frame it sits right. This is a 13 millimeter. I like the ratcheting wrenches for this. Equal amounts of pressure on either side. And that's essentially what we're looking to accomplish. Now we're going to get this into the frame after we grease the seat tube and the head tube. So let's move the camera so you can see exactly what's going on. So with a little bit of grease, we're going to go into the head tube. We're going to go into the seat tube. We're going to take our three-way. We're going to put our seat post down into the frame. It is a 5 millimeter bolt. We're leaving enough of the post to fit in the clamp. We do want this tight enough to let the seat support the weight of the entire bike while it's up in here. Lock it down. Now we'll go through the unpacking process. We're going to use our side cut pliers to go ahead and cut all the zip ties, get everything off the bike, get everything ready to be assembled, and we'll do it fast forward like we always do. So, let's get started. Let's begin. All right, so she's essentially unwrapped. We're going to make sure that our stem height is going to be pretty close to where we want it. You can hear the back fender braces rattling. We're going to break free the stem bolt and rise the bars up to where we want them, roughly. All this will be adjusted later. And we're gonna go secure those fender bolts in the back. All right, so we're going to loosen up our fender bolts, our fender brace bolts, so that we don't have to listen to that lovely rattling noise anymore. Sometimes I do the front fender first, sometimes I do the rear fender. It really doesn't matter which one gets done first. I will pull up on that brace so that the bolt is at the bottom of the bail, giving us the maximum amount of clearance. Torque that down good. Same thing with the other side. We're not going to do these fast. We're just going to take our time with them so that we don't strip the bolts out. This is a steel frame. They can be a little fickle. They are mass-produced bikes. And as long as we're back here, once we get this locked down, we're going to inflate our tire. And these can be inflated anywhere between 30 and 50 psi. It's actually marked right here on the side of the tire. Checking to make sure that the bead is seated all the way around, both sides. Make sure the tire's not going to blow off the rim. Firm, not hard. That's the way I like to say it. We make sure our fender is in line with the tire. And we make sure that our chain has enough slack in it. You don't want it so tight that it's hard to pedal. Now we're going to go to the front of the bike. We're going to put the front fender on and the front wheel, and we'll go from there. So our front fender, the bolt is already installed in the frame. We just have to back it out, make sure we don't lose the washer off the back. The graphic that's on this actually goes to the back of the fender. And make sure that we span it. Get the bolt all the way through. We can put our washer and our nut on. We're not going to tighten this down yet until we get the braces mounted in the front. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting ourselves to try and get that in there. So I'll do it on this side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take that front bolt out. Put it through the fender brace and back into the fork. Once we get it close to being snug, we're going to pull up on the brace, pull up on it so that it's at the bottom of the bail. Again, giving us maximum tire clearance once the wheel is in. Then we'll do the one in the back. So far, this particular bike has been very good about the threading in all of the dropouts, and the bolts have been good. Of course, knock on wood, I'll probably jinx myself for saying that. Get our bolt lined up. And again, once it's at that point, I'm going to pull up on that brace so that it's giving me maximum clearance, like so, and we'll do this side. Up. up, and lock it down. Now, with a Phillips head screwdriver from the front and a ratcheting 10mm from the back, we can tighten down our top bolt. All right. At this point in the game, I'm going to open our parts box because I'm at this side of the bike anyway. I'm going to get out the owner's manual. I'm going to get out the pedals, the front reflector, which we can actually just slap right on, the rear reflector, and the screws. Now we're going to put some air in the front tire. Again, these go from 30 to 50 PSI, depending on your personal preference. Put the cap back on. I've been doing this for a long time, so I know basically how it's supposed to feel. I'm going to loosen up our axle nuts both sides. Pull our washers out. Tire tread goes this way, based on the front of the bike. Hand tight. Grab our 15mm wrench. I pull up in the middle, holding onto the fender to try and keep the tire straight. Lock these down good. It's not rubbing. Everything seems to be good there. As long as we're at this end, we might as well put our screw into our front reflector to hold it on. And we'll do the same for the rear reflector. Turn it towards us. Not going to lock that down yet because we still have to adjust the seat and make sure that it's all where we want it. Now I'm going to move the camera so we can watch the pedals going in. All right, so we're going to unwrap our pedals. We're going to put a little bit of grease on the spindles. We don't need to go crazy, just enough. The pedals are stamped with an L and an R. R being the right side. We're going to start our pedals by hand. Let the threads mate on their own. And do the same with the other side, going in a clockwise motion to get them started. The more you can get these twisted in by hand, the better off, because you can't pedal this bike backwards to set the pedals like you can with a multi-speed bike. So once you get it to bottom out by hand, put your pedal wrench on and lock it down. On this side, may have to go around a couple of times. And then lock it down. So essentially, you can hear where it's touching. You're going to bend the chain guard out, make sure that nothing is making contact. All good there. So essentially all the parts are on the bike now. All we have to do is take it down, make sure the handlebars are straight, make sure that all the bolts are tight, go over everything. It doesn't hurt to hit it twice to make sure that everything is tightened up. You don't want anything coming loose. It'd be a bad day for everybody. But for the most part, this is the basic assembly on one of these simple steel frame coaster brake bikes. Just the fenders are the biggest thing. Make sure that you have enough clearance. Like I said, we're gonna set her down, we'll get her on the floor. We're gonna make sure that our handlebars are lined up right down the center of the tire tread. Then we'll lock down our stem bolt. Get this nice and tight. You don't want it turning. You're gonna make sure that our handlebars are at the right pitch. And we're gonna lock down our stem bolt here. If we're satisfied with the level of the seat, then we're gonna make sure with our 13 that we're good and tight. We're gonna turn our reflector around. With our 5mm, we're gonna loosen up the bolts so we can drop the seat down. Make sure everything is nice and tight. And essentially that's what we've got. Now with all these bikes, we're gonna wipe them down. We're gonna give them a little wax, you know, make them pretty, polish them up. We'll write up the sales tag. We'll get the little cap bolt in here on the stem like so. Just fits right in. Now unfortunately, the front reflector, the clip that holds it in was broken. I'm gonna have to wait till I get back to the shop to get another clip or another reflector to put in the front wheel. Other than that, this one is good to go, ready for the floor. I hope you've learned basically how to put one of these together. I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.